Yes, ladies and gentlemen, better late than never because look, blame India in terms of their overage. We should have been here ideally half an hour before. That was a plan, but of course, one day international cricket and how much time they've taken to bowl these 49 overs, not even 50 overs to 5:30. But we'll be here for the next half an hour. So I'm Avnish Hegde, and of course, joining me is Somesh Agarwal, and not to forget the guys, as you can see, in Nikhil Popat and Gurkirat. 269, boys, 270 for India to win. They have to make a little bit of history tonight, so to get the job done. Are you confident or are you pessimistic like you were 15 minutes ago saying 100 runs by hard jagi?
There was a point in time during the innings where I was actually thinking if Australia can somehow manage 250, this is going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I feel this is going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game.
It's not going to be an easy run chase. If at all, I think Australia have enough.
Australia have enough. Before we get into your comments, of course, I want to hear from Nix and Gurkirat about the positives and, of course, the negatives that we've seen. What really caught your eye before we get deep into it with some numbers and stuff? Gurkirat, I'll start with you. What did you like the most so far in the last 3.5 hours?
I liked how Jadeja bowled. I liked how Kuldeep bowled. It's not about the wickets alone that Kuldeep has picked. It's about the control, the delivery that he bowled to dismiss Alex Carey. I mean, it's a very difficult delivery to bowl, and so many times you've seen when Kuldeep has tried to shorten his length, he's not really had the control. But with the control that he delivered on that ball, that tells you how much work he has put in on his fitness to make sure that while he's increasing his pace, he's not losing the drift and the spin. In my view, a lot of people might disagree, but I genuinely think that this delivery that he bowled to Alex Carey is probably better than the one he bowled to Babar Azam in that World Cup. It's a fantastic delivery. Very difficult to pull it off. So I liked how these two spinners bowled. Akshar, I felt, was somewhere in between. He was trying to figure out the pace at which he wanted to bowl at. Sometimes he was too quick, which is why he got a little smashed as well. But I thought Stoinis gave him a gift, and that gift was important for him, given of late he's not been amongst wickets a lot. So yeah, and I think Australia have a total which is about par.
Two things. Now, I mean, on Kuldeep, I just feel that the time when he's done, he'll definitely have a very, very watchable highlights package of his dismissal. I mean, he has this knack of bowling those dream deliveries.
Twitter compilation, 2 minutes.
As a Delhi fan, Gurkirat, are you slightly nervous that Akshar is maybe losing form at the wrong time?
The vice captain.
I don't know. I mean, if he lose, I hope that he gets it back. But yeah, I mean, if it will be that kind of a season if even someone like Akshar, who's done so well in the last 1.5 years, starts losing form. Can't help it. But yeah, he's going to play all games regardless.
Yeah, I just have a question that I want to maybe touch upon with Nikhil, and this is something that I've been feeling for a while now. And in this game, we saw that. Do you feel that we finally entered a stage where the amount of T20 cricket that is being played and these players play, the impatience is creeping in across formats? I mean, we don't even need data to suggest that hardly any test matches go to day 5 these days. And even in ODIs, we saw in this entire series and even today, I mean, probably 5 years ago, teams would have sort of planned to play 50 overs and then maybe target 270. Though Australia managed to reach near 270, but during their innings they were afraid of playing aerial shots.
Correct.
At times they even looked stupid, but I think we have finally entered a time where everyone is in that T20 mold and not a lot of patience is being displayed out there in the field. I mean, what do you guys think? Maybe Nikhil, to get your thoughts first.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of how people have paced their innings, and also it's also to do with the lack of ODIs as well. I don't think in the last few years we've had so many ODIs, leading up to series. So which is why you often see them. You feel that there is still time. Why are they going for the shots? There is time. There is time. But I think because you're not used to playing at that tempo, you are probably going at a rate where you feel there is more in the pitch than you think it is, and also the conditions always haven't been quite easier, or that way that could make people feel that okay, there is time, we can catch up. I mean, because there has been something happening all the time, they feel that one line, there will be one ball, they'll get me. So even this deck is two pace. There was some that were holding up. There was the ball that was spinning. So we kept feeling that whenever there is an opportunity to score, people are looking to take the risk even before they should actually. I mean, case in point, the game yesterday, South Africa were 87 for 4 and Klaasen hit a 56 ball 100. So see, when it comes off, it looks brilliant and wow, you chase down that much in just 30 overs. But you feel, was there a need? Could you have not slowed down or taken it at different pace? So I think people are assessing conditions very differently, and now it's come to a stage where I know my game. My game is to attack. I'll go that way, and there are very few who are taking the time. I think you can take Manas's example today. He took
Yeah.
his time almost. You felt, and you feel the other way. Okay, he's taking too much time. So I think people are still trying to come to terms with playing ODIs regularly and get the right tempo for them.
Also, if you look at conditions like the one today, uh, you're not really sure what total is enough, because at the back of your mind there's also the due factor now, because you might bat accordingly, thinking now this takes us back to the discussion that we had in the previous game, where I remember Nikhil saying, so you have to play what is it in front of you and not really plan for something that you can't control. But I really don't think that you can completely ignore that factor. So what I felt was that when Carey and Stoinis were batting, and they had added 50 runs in good time, when it looked like that if these two could bat for another 5-6 overs, Australia could reach 300. I just think that in their mind they just wanted to reach 300. Because of that, Stoinis played the kind of shot he did, and then lost his wicket because he was looking good. So I just think there are too many factors. Having just four fielders outside for 30 overs, that is also a part, because if one batter gets set, then that player can also exploit the conditions in such a way that maybe even an above par total might get chased. So just too many factors to play with, which I think sometimes clutters the thinking, and you have players probably playing a little more risky than what is required at times.
Yeah, and it's not just about Stoinis. I mean, Warner's and Labuschagn's dismissals
Yeah.
are also sort of
Throwing their
felt
wicket
like
away.
throwing their wicket away. Especially, I was looking forward to Warner batting at 4. In my mind, I was like, this is a guy who knows how to build an innings. So that was
Yeah. But I
particularly
think But I think that
and
is also the wicket were also because of the pressure that was created. I think it was not just the wanting to get a score, but you could almost feel that Warner and Marnus wanted to get a few boundaries away, and
Yeah.
not just maybe hit like 5, 6, but just to get a couple of away, and then you just go back and start rotating. So I think that's where I think Jadeja bowled 10 on the trot, and I think that if India do go on to win, it could be a very crucial spell because he kept the lid very tight, which allowed Kuldeep to really attack, and then resulted in those 2 wickets that he got of the two set batters.
Mhm. So we touched upon the topic of Manas Labuschagne. Now I want to throw in some stats. He debuted in January 2020. I think that was against India. And since then, he's played 28 innings, which is not a very small sample size. There are among Australian batters who predominantly are batters,
Yeah.
only Aaron Finch and Marcus Stoinis have had a lower average than him. He's averaging at around 30, in early 30s, and even his strike rate is 83. So Finch is out of the team,
Yeah.
and Stoinis adds value as a bowler as well. So, I mean, do you guys think that given the run that he's had, and given the fact that Maxwell will eventually walk into this Australian team, he's just made everyone's headache a little easier by not performing, not matching his level of performance that we've seen him do in red ball cricket. Yeah.
I mean, Anirudh mentioned this as well in his 11, right? That he didn't even add Labuschagne, and I was just like, why? And then I realized that maybe they're just shoehorning him in here because it's not like Australia have mixed formats, but it's getting the case with Manas Labuschagne. I want to get the guys' view on that before I throw in more stats. Gurkirat on Labuschagne?
Yeah, it's a classic case. This is why I say that it's not easy to just say, oh, don't mix formats, because when you are judging a player on a few basics, the basics remains the same, right? If you want to judge how someone is playing spin and how someone is playing pace, I'm not really talking about movement but just pace, the basics remain the same. So if you think that someone has strong basics, the tendency is, for most managements, is to back that player in the other format as well. Because you look at Labuschagne, you look at him, having the shots, you look at him having a decent amount of defense, and you're like, if you give him enough backing, he will come good, right? It's that only. It's similar to what India were trying with Pant. in T20s. It's probably similar to what India are trying to do with Surya Kumar Yadav in ODIs right now. Yeah, I mean, you can't really fault the management for backing players who have you know given enough evidence of the skill and the talent that they have. Probably, Australia will play a few more games and then realize maybe Labuschagn's not a very good fit, and they'll bring back either Cameron Green or Maxwell. I think they will definitely bring back Maxwell, because from what I felt when Australia were playing the ODIs in Sri Lanka, is that they want someone like a Maxwell, or probably Maxwell, to do the kind of role what Yuvraj did for India in the 2011 World Cup. Because Maxwell, I think, is a very, very smart part-time bowler in white ball format, and we all know what he can do versus spin, and he can really take away the game in a jiffy. So if Marnus doesn't probably take on one more series, probably if he doesn't do well, then maybe Australia might just replace him from the 11.
I mean, looking at that ODI World Cup next, do you think Marnus would feature in their plans? Because maybe he has a decent record against Spain in tests. And do you think they'll, again, look at those kind of facts, the fact that it's in the subcontinent? Maybe Marnus gets into that squad, but not necessarily the 11, right?
I think he'll best be a reserves. So I don't think he should even make the squad, given
Okay.
how he's returned in terms of also how he's played those knocks. And you feel Australia already have enough similar kind of players who they're trying to fit in. And I think the form of Marsh actually solves their problem a lot, because if Marsh can bat the way he's doing, and if Warner just gets to get along, then you don't want somebody like a Marnus, because you have Smith, you have Maxwell, you have Carey, which makes a decent lower middle order, something that they banged on in 2015. So you
And
get
that,
the strong starts, and then you have a very firing engine room with people who can contribute with multiple facets. So maybe they could also prefer Stoinis as a backup as opposed to say Marnus.
Yeah.
So
and
the ability will stay, but in nowadays also it's not too often that you need battling skill, batting spin kind of skills. So ODIs are still mostly you can get away with it.
And there's also Josh Inglis, who's there in
Yeah.
the squad. So a lot will depend upon how Josh Inglis also fares. If he starts scoring a lot of runs and Marnus doesn't, then yeah, it's probable that Marnus might just lose out on the spot in the squad itself,
I
even
mean,
in
which
the
might happen
11.
immediately, right? I mean, wherever Maxwell is available, he has to play. And
Yeah,
when
he's
he's playing
giving it for sure.
at this point of time, I mean,
For
unless and
me,
unless
yes. For me, yes. But I don't know what Australia's
And maybe
plan is,
that
or what.
sentimental reason for it might be his last World Cup to show. I mean, and the points that Gurpreet mentioned as well, especially in the subcontinent, you can get at least 4 or 5 overs out of Maxwell. Now, I just want to see
He was bowling
these
seven.
out for you
He was
guys. In an ODI innings, Gurpreet, this is the first time 10 batters have double-digit scores for Australia. The only one who doesn't is Steve-O Smith, which is quite rare. And there's a little bit more to that. Overall instances of 10 batters scoring in double digits in ODI innings, just 5 times, gents, in all the million ODIs we've ever seen. India have featured in 2 of them. More stats like this on the cricket.com website. But having said that, more comments to
Is
take because there's some fun ones as well. Champal
this the
Chauhan,
lowest score? Is
Go on.
this the lowest team score when 10 batters have reached double digits? Because usually, if you have 10 batters reaching double digits, you do think at least one of them would go on to make 100. One would probably make a 50, which essentially ensures that you have crossed the 300 run mark. So is
but
this
I
the
think
is
that
this
is
the lowest?
around 10 players scoring in doubles without
Yeah.
a triple.
Yeah,
Or
without,
it has a triple as well.
no, it doesn't have triple.
Yeah.
So just 10 batters of double digits.
Okay.
Yeah, so something for stat geeks out there. More on the cricket.com website, of course. Now, I just want to ask you guys in terms of India's chase, right? Lots of questions came in the afternoon session about India's batters, Surya Kumar Yadav, and the usual stuff. What do you expect to see in this run chase?
I mean,
Knowing that
I
those
mentioned
soccer runs.
before the game as well, I'm looking forward to how Rohit bats.
Yeah.
Because for me, his white ball form has not been good enough.
But does it matter?
It does matter. Of course, it matters.
But he's a captain. He's always going to
I mean, see, if you think from that direction, then it's a different story altogether. But see, I mean, because he's the captain, matters all the more because he is certain to play.
No, I'm saying like eventually within time he'll come good, right?
This is what we
Think.
usually think, but it's always good to get some runs under belt and take it from there. See,
Yeah.
the reason I am slightly optimistic about Australia's chances in this game is because they would have learned the lessons that Indian bowlers did.
Mm.
10 overs late or maybe even 15 overs late, that there's no point going for your full pace deliveries. I mean, change
Agreed.
of pace will work. You saw in the last over that Siraj bowled, the ball that he bowled without change of pace was belted for a six, and
Yeah.
the very next ball when he changed the pace.
So having said that, who's the
contributed to-
most threatening out of the lot? I mean,
So,
I know
I
Egan
mean,
Zampa will come to the game,
See,
but
Sean Abbott is a very smart bowler in that way, and I think this is where Marcus Stoinis' role will become very important because he is that change of pace bowler anyway.
yeah,
So yeah, this is. I mean, for me, I feel I would rather be in Australia's camp for this particular game. And given the fact that India have been a little rigid in their batting lineup, which they shouldn't today, because again, Australia's both pacers are those who will turn the ball away from the righty. So no better game than this to promote Akshar Patel at 4, who's anyway a very good batter of spin.
yeah. Next, we saw about 28 overs of spin bowled by India, so which is more than half. Where we can't expect the same from Australia because they have two proper spinners in Aga and Zampa, and the fact that it's now evening, the Pacers will come in more. So who's the threat that India have to really negate up front? Is it that inevitable Stark 5-over burst?
Yeah, I think Gill will definitely want to see off Stark to begin with, so that he settles down. Because when he settles down, he's somebody who gets a lot of boundaries in, and then he's keeping the scoreboard moving, and he's someone who can then use his feet as well to both Zampa and Ashton Agar. So for him, for Shubman as well, and for India, you'd want him to get a good score because then that would just lay the base for Virat to come in and do what he does best. That is, take his time, just build the innings, and then you are set up for a very good chase. But if you lose early, then you are again down going to the same thread that okay, what if Scar comes in too early? Should we promote Aksar? Should we promote Jadeja? Then you are getting into a tangle where you are again going to rely on just three batters, that is Virat,
Yeah.
Rahul, and somebody hoping that somebody else steps up. So I think the first six will obviously be very important, and it's also that kind of time of the day where you will get some movement under lights. And Stark doesn't need any second, third, even first invitation for the to move the ball. So I think those two C8 bats. So sorry to take the brand name, but those two big bats will be very critical for India to just see through and set the tone for the chase. Otherwise, as Somesh said, there is enough in the deck for Australia to make use of. So if
Okay.
they keep India tight, the mistakes could follow.
Gurkiat, I'll just come to you, but there's some hilarious comments a must read right now in going down. Someone's calling you B Prak. I don't know whoever that is.
But
also,
it should be Somesh who looks like B Prak, not me. It
Yeah,
should
of
be
course.
Somesh who, yeah.
Of course, Somesh is being likened to V Prak and Andrew Tate by the looks of things. Gurkiat, just a little bit
I
more.
would rather be annotated with B. Prak's character.
Yeah, cheeky lads in the comments as ever. Gurkirat, what about India's batters? If you were a betting man, who would you put money on tonight to get us across the line? I say us being an Indian fan in every sense. Is it going to be Sky, law of averages catching up with him in a good way, or do you think the king will, of course, come to the fore?
I'm worried about the king today because there's a left arm spinner.
No,
There's a
no
left
worry.
arm spinner, balls holding up, balls turning. I'm worried about the king. So yeah, but yeah, I hope Shubman has a good game and Sky has a good game. Or else, if India, what I do hope that if India lose 2 wickets today, not early on, but say around the 15-20th over when Stark has bowled out his first spell and spinners are operation. Today, if India do plan to promote someone, it is Akshar and not Jadeja, especially if the ball is spinning. I just hope that they don't make the mistake that they made in Indore. If they do that, they should really promote Akshar. But yes, I think if Gill can survive the initial spell, he can play both Zampa and Agar well. He also played someone like Santner quite well in the New Zealand series, both in New Zealand and in India. So hoping that he plays out the first spell, and there's a good chance that someone like Travis Head gets a ball somewhere in between.
Yeah, maybe a couple of overs for him.
So, yeah.
Chapal Chor going on to say, can anyone do a Hendrik Klaasen? Because they were chasing the similar total 264.
I don't think this is that kind of a wicket, and Australia is not that kind of a bowling attack. I mean, before we part ways,
Oh, it is that kind
I
of
know
thing.
there is one Indian cricketer that we usually criticize a lot, and it's not just we. I think he is, for a few years, the most criticized Indian cricketer that I've seen. But how good was KL Rahul, the keeper, today in terms of being very, very clear that bhai kahan review lena hai, kahan nahi lena hai. It was very impressive. Even, I mean, see,
And the only time he was off the field, Ishan Kishan was keeping and they couldn't review it. The Guldeep bomb was just umpire's call.
yeah, I mean, that is fine. But I mean, early on, Siraj was very confident and the ball clearly pitched outside leg.
Correct.
And KL Rahul was very clear ki bhai, made that gesture that it has pitched outside. And even that Kuldeep review, KL Rahul gave his inputs and he just walked away कि भाई कोई chance ही नहीं है review लेने का and actually Kuldeep had to convince Rohit कि भाई review दे दो.
But is that seniority in terms of KL Rahul being the mature leader over there?
I mean, इसमें seniority की बात ही नहीं है.
Because sometimes
even senior players can screw this up. I mean, it is just about being aware and being very clear.
Yeah.
And obviously observing the ball where it lands. You don't have to just observe what the batter is doing. KL Rahul was very clear that the ball pitched outside.
Yeah, and even in world cricket right now, we see a lot of animated keepers across the game. So maybe that's.
I just hope that point. I mean, because it's a good sign because he would be keeping for India in the 50 over World Cup, and I just hope that he keeps for Lucknow as well.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, eventually he's definitely going to be down in gloves.
If not keeping for India in the WTC final too, because those reviews and everything would be very handy.
Bharat Kotwani going on to say India is not able to chase 270 in recent 1-8 nationals when they've got above 250. Others reckoning that it actually could be Australia's game, this, guys. Will we be sitting here in about, 4 hours' time, lambasting this Indian team once again? Hope not, right? Next?
You'd hope not. And I think this is a good test as well, going into, you want to play the better teams into the World Cup on the back of such changes, because India have made a legacy of chasing down targets well, but not this team. There has been enough mishaps, ups and downs, wrong promotions and whatnot that have not helped the side close the games out. So yeah, hopefully a Rohit Virat show, and so that everybody goes home very happy.
I like it. The Rohit Virat show. Guys, look, it's been thoroughly entertaining once again. Yeah, sure.
Just one thought, maybe. I mean,
because I saw them coming out of
so I mean, just one thought. I mean, I would rather have India lose these Mastercard
Oh
series
no!
He's just getting it out for the reason.
Losses, but you learn more outside ICC tournament. I don't want you to learn during ICC tournaments.
Yeah. See, you can have an educating sponsor, but it doesn't guarantee that you learn.
I love the joke. I love the wordplay there. Nick, Kukia, thanks so much for your time. Let's see if it is India to get another one in the series deciders. They've been known as bilateral merchants. It really wouldn't surprise us. Let's see how it all unfolds. We'll catch you post-match. Join us then. It's a goodbye from us right now.